Okay, team two. Good job getting your work submitted. Let's go ahead and take a look. Let's just kind of read through this one more time. All right. Okay, this is what I wanted to address. Right? It says if you have issues viewing all the pages, zoom out and it will become visible. Dropbox did something weird with the PDF, pushing all of the sketch page together. It wasn't Dropbox. Let's go ahead and take a look. So I've got the PDF open right here, and as we can see, we've got the main page, right? But then the next page, you have to do this kind of crazy scrolling. So I opened this little troubleshooting. I couldn't figure out if it was set up in without using facing pages, which would make sense, or if that it indeed were set up in at these dimensions. So I opened it in Acrobat, and I can see by hovering down here in Acrobat, the file itself is 22 by 8.5. So if we come over here, we see the first page is set at 11 by 8.5, but then you go to straight into these double wide, these double spreads with the file size on these last two pages being 22 by 8.5. My recommendation for presentation is to set up your PDF, or I'm not real sure if you're using InDesign, but set up your InDesign. Don't set up facing pages, and just make sure all the pages are set at 11 by 8.5, as opposed to setting up the subsequent pages after the cover at 22 by 11 by 22. Okay, because we really should be able to scroll through one page at a time instead of having these double spreads. Okay, now if you were printing this, yeah, it would be a little bit different, but the pages would have to be imposed, so that they would print in the correct order. But since this isn't a print piece, I would say just multi-page, however many pages, InDesign file, whatever, 28 pages at 8.5 by 11 without facing pages, and that should rectify the problem immediately. Okay, let's go ahead and jump over to the work. Hey, you know what? I've got the PDF open. Why don't we just go ahead right over here and jump in here? So, okay, good introduction right there. Now, one thing I think it's going to get a little mundane throughout the presentation if you use the same background picture image, that faded out mountain scene. It's going to get mundane if you use that for all, whatever, 30 pages or however long this presentation is going to end up being. So think about alternative uses of the background. Some interesting things, techniques are to fade the image from full opacity to transparent. So think about different ways to present that. Now, one of the things I'm seeing here is that it looks like your group isn't using a grid for the presentation. And I say that because there's a couple of areas that are indicative of that. One is that the distance between Ashley's image and Michelle's image is less than the distance between Stephen's image and Ashley's image. As we can see, that distance right there is greater. That points to not using a grid, so I would recommend using a grid. And then over here, we see the same thing. This image is not placed. The baseline grid is off, so they're not in alignment. Plus, this one raises up a little higher. This one doesn't reach. So these should all be the same size in terms of presentation. As far as the information goes, I think it's great. I think this is a really fantastic job. You've got the original sketch, description of the idea, kind of an artistic rendering of the kiosk, and then the wireframe for the first page of the interface. Now I would go ahead and wireframe a few pages to just to be sure, and let's get some detail in that wireframe for the opening page. And then also one other recommendation is, since there's only one paragraph, presumably maybe two, I would give these just as detailed of a description as you possibly can. Really get detailed to here. One thing you want to keep in mind is you don't need an indent. Since this is the first paragraph, you don't need to indent a first paragraph. Let's jump to the next presentation. This one looks great. Again, I'd like to see some detailed wireframes though, so really show that you're really thinking out the process and establishing the interface and the actual kiosk, or the functions of the kiosk, more than just the plan. So you're actually looking into wireframing and presenting what your findings are and the best way to progress through the human interaction of the holographic display, the wall touch mirror, or the multi-panel touchscreen. Okay, and again, just the same thing I'm seeing is the same thing is that we just really would want some detailed wireframes. Also for consistency, in this page and this page, you have sketch first, then rendering, then wireframe. Sketch first, rendering, then here you have rendering, then sketch, then wireframe. So let's just keep some consistency in that regard. Okay, good start, guys. Really good job. So those are my only recommendations, team. If you guys have any questions or need any clarification, please let me know. Thank you very much. Good job, guys.